Hey guys, what's up? This is Francisco with Valareso Capital, and I just wanted to bring you a quick video of the weekly watch list. We're gonna go through some of the ETFs that I think that are outperforming the market. We're gonna take a quick look at the SPY, and then we're gonna start taking a look at some of the charts that I think have a high probability of continuing higher. Mostly, we're just gonna look at long positions or long opportunities. So let's just get into it. So let's first start with the ETFs that I think that are outperforming here. First, you can see here my screen. Let me just bring my pen really quickly. There we go. Let's start here with the OIH, right? Which is basically everything that has to do with oil services, ETFs. So those are the ETFs that we're going to take a look at. We can see OIH holding here, kind of compressing. We had a pullback right here into that 8 exponential moving average, but this continues to trade really well, right? This continues to go higher. We can see that we had a really strong spike right on good volume, and now we're just consolidating sideways. But basically, we are right in that 21 exponential moving average, which is the blue line right here. And for any of you guys that follow me on Twitter, you know that I'm a big fan of the quant pivots, which are the lines that I have here. So these are basically these lines are calculated using weekly periods. So basically this is the line in the middle is the opening range. And then we have the weekly support number 1 and the weekly support number 2. And then we have weekly resistance number 1. And then we have weekly resistance number 2. And then we have a different box to calculate the probability of the price hitting these levels down here. So we're gonna go into that a little bit further in another video, but if I see something interesting using these levels, I'm gonna cover it. So now let's continue moving forward here. The next ETF that I want to take a look at is XOP. So these ones are the 3 main ones for oil. We can see here that in XOP, we are basically right in that 8 exponential moving average, which is pretty strong. Today, we actually pierced that 8 exponential moving average in increasing volume, but you can see that we actually close above it. In my opinion, I think that buyers are continue to step into these names. And I think there's a high probability that we're going to take these highs and we'll probably get a move into these weekly resistance levels ahead. And then finally, we have XLE, which is the kind of the biggest one here. Just give me a second. Right, so I just was reviewing the Wi-Fi here. So here we have XLE, right? You can see that we had kind of a flat top, and we actually had a breakout last week. Okay, volume, right? It was nothing above normal or anything like that, but we can see that we continue to ride this 21 exponential moving average. And as you can see, if any of you guys follow the volatility contraction setup, you can see that volatility is contracting, meaning that means that every time that we continue to bang against that ceiling of price, which is somewhere around here, every time we make a higher low. So that's basically kind of what a volatility contraction looks like. And you can see here that we almost got a break. We had kind of a breakout last week. We came in here today, kind of the same volume, but we're near that weekly support. So I'll be looking for this level to hold, which is basically trading above the 21 exponential moving average. So that looks pretty interesting. And then the next ETF that I want to share with you is GDX. And you can see GDX here, right? Look at this. We had a pullback right into that weekly support level number 1. And that's basically also the 8 exponential moving average. We tried to break out. We got rejected, but we came back in lower volume, which is great. And we continue to ride that 21 exponential moving average. So I'm looking at GDX for a breakout here. I think that we can get a move either to the first weekly support resistance level and then to the next weekly resistance level as well. So those are kind of the ETFs that I'm looking at. So that's basically, we have oil and we have gold. So now let's start taking a look at some of the charts here. So let's first start. Let me just first start with BPT here. And this one is looking great, right? Just this one is an oil name, And you can see right here, right, we have that pullback to that 50 daily moving average. We had our move all the way back here to the 1485 pivot. We pull back, hold that 21 exponential moving average, close above the 8, and now we finally got a breakout. This one already retested that pivot. That was a great opportunity to get in, right? We got a really strong move from that side. And you can see here that we pull back into that 8 exponential moving average, and that we're finding support right at that weekly L1 pivot, the weekly L1 level. And this one is holding, right? We pull back in increasing volume. Yes, we did. But I think that you can manage risk here. If we happen to retest the pivot here and the weekly L2 level, I think that's a great level to manage risk against. But I'll be looking, I think that you can actually buy a position here, manage it right below this low, and then look for a continuation higher. This is a really strong name, and you can see the volume coming in. It's pretty interesting. Now let's take a look at BTU, another oil name here. And this one is looking great, right? You can see kind of what we were mentioning, right? That volatility, that volatility contraction setup, right? We had the pivot at 27.28, and you can see that we got rejected here, we got rejected here, but this rejection here happened on lower volume, which is kind of encouraging. But today we actually pull back, not on huge volume, but increasing volume from Friday. And we actually close below that 8 exponential moving average. If we happen to get a pullback to that weekly L1, I think that's a great level for you to get into a position or to manage risk. And I think that you can actually use this 21 exponential moving average as a level of, as to manage your stop. That's actually what I'm doing. And I have my alert here. And let me just take those out so that they're not confusing with trend lines or anything like that. There we go. So yeah, I think you can use that 21 exponential moving average as a stop. If you can get it somewhere around these levels, that is going to provide a really nice risk reward. And I think that the first target is going to be somewhere around 30, which is the weekly level, the weekly resistance level number 1. But this one is looking pretty strong here. Now let's take a look at the next name here. I have CEIX, looking great, right? Is, if I'm not mistaken, this is also another oil name, right? Nice volume here, HB1, which is the highest volume in 1 year. We kind of have this V shape. We had the breakout. We found support at that 21 exponential moving average. And now we're moving above this pivot here, right at 36.23. And I think this one is holding pretty nicely, right? It's strong. We have a red bar on volume today, but what is really interesting is the closing range, right? You can see that we went all the way down here, undercut that 8 exponential moving average, but look where we close, right? Basically, bulls step in and bought this candle, and I think there's a high probability for continuation. If you were quick enough to get this one near that pivot, you can of course use 36.20 as your stop, which I think that provides a really great risk reward, and I'll be looking for these levels above as my targets. Now let's go into the next name. This is my Franco Nevada Fmv. This one is actually my favorite name in the space for gold. And this one is looking great, right? We had kind of this double bottom here, and now we're breaking above this pivot of 163.79. And what is really amazing is that today that we pull back kind of lower volume than on Friday. We already kind of broke out. And now we're just holding, right? We're holding above. As long as we continue to trend above this 8 exponential moving average, I think that the probability of continuation is pretty high. And I'll be looking at these levels as my targets next one. Now let's take a look at MP, right? This one is, this is a metal name. And this one is actually pretty interesting, right? We had kind of this cup. We got a really strong breakout, kind of a head and shoulders stopping here. Of course, I think that you just have to continue. You just have to respect the trend that was. And we actually, I think this was kind of a 3-month base, right? We had a kind of a 3-month base here. We had the breakout. Is this a failed breakout? Could be. But if you're interested in this name, this is the best place to manage risk, right? This is a retest of the pivot, a retest of the breakout level. And if it's going to continue, this is the best place to manage risk. So you can use that one. You can set your stop right below the low of this candle right here. And I think that offers a really nice risk reward. Now let's go with Oxy. This is a name that everyone is talking about, right? Pretty strong Pretty strong move on Friday, right? You can see this candle, you can see the volume, really amazing volume coming in into this move up. And now we're just flagging sideways. This is actually a high probability setup, right? You just look at the volume. Now the volume is kind of contracting, is moving lower and kind of drying up. And it looks great, right? As long as we continue to hold that 21 exponential moving average, the probability of Oxy continuing higher is good. And if you were interested in this name and you didn't chase it on Friday, it provided a great opportunity to get in right here, right? Weekly L1 level of support and the 8 exponential moving average. I think you can use that one. You can use those levels as your entry and use this 21 exponential moving average as your stop, and that will provide you a really nice risk reward in order to use this as your stop and then these levels above as your target. This one is looking great. And then we have RES, RES. And this one is looking great, right? Kind of the similar setup that we were looking, right? Kind of the flat top. Now we have the volatility contraction, which means higher lows. And you can see that we are right in that 21 exponential moving average, right? We are continuing to ride in that exponential moving average. Good volume on Friday, kind of a breakout. Today we came back, probably stop a lot of people that were using this low as their stop. So that's actually pretty encouraging because we had a shakeout and this closed above that 8 exponential moving average. If we're gonna move, I think we have a high probability of just moving into the second level of resistance and having a strong breakout. This is actually one of my favorite setups here. And I think that today it is offering a really nice entry to manage your risk. And then the next name that I have to share here is X, which is a steel name. And right, really interesting move, right? Nice volume, really nice trend above that 8 exponential moving average. And now we're finally consolidating sideways, pulling back into that 21 exponential moving average. This setup is actually pretty simple, right? This is basically just a flag of that 21 exponential moving average. So you can use this as your stop, use this low as you can use this as your entry, and then you can use this low as your stop, basically using that 21 exponential moving average. And that gives you a really nice risk reward and a great way to manage this setup. And then finally, let's take a look at another gold name, which is NEM, one of the leaders in this industry as well. And you can see, right, we had kind of the volatility contraction again, those higher lows trending right near this pivot, kind of a cup and handle, right? Kind of a high handle here. And this one is looking great, right? Today, for example, here I had a trade and I was using this pivot as my stop, right? I got in right here. I was looking for a breakout. We actually got it on Friday. I thought that we were going to get continuation, and then I had my stop right here in this pivot and I got a stop out, but it was a tiny loss, right? It was a tiny loss. And since I had a tiny loss, I'm looking to get back in tomorrow, right? So this one is looking great. I think that you can use this low as your stop, get your position somewhere around here, and that provides you a really nice risk reward in the trade. So that one's looking great. And those are basically the names that I have for you guys, right? As you can see, I don't have any tech. I don't think that you should have any tech, right? If we take a look at the Qs, right? Look how the Qs are trading, like, right? The Qs are trading below a declining 8, below a declining 21 exponential moving average, below of what looks like a declining 50 daily, and below a flat 200 daily, right? So I don't think there's a reason that you should focus on tech, since we have some really nice, we have some really nice trends, right? We have a nice trend on XLE, we have a nice trend on XOP, we have a nice trend on OIH, and then we have a beautiful trend in GDX, right? So I don't see a reason to waste your capital and your mental capital on tech, because I know that we can make the argument, right? Head and shoulders, bottoming pattern, whatever, but I don't think this is a place to focus. So focus on the leaders, focus on the stocks that are trading above a rising 50 daily at least. Better if they're trading above an 8 exponential moving average or a 21 exponential moving average. So I hope this list was helpful, guys. Let me know in the comments if you have any question, if you have some other names that you want to add. But I think these are a really strong list to get you through the week, maybe through the month. We're gonna see if these stocks start to break out and actually hold the breakout levels. I think there's a high probability that they will, because the pattern is there, right? The only thing that we have to do as traders is look for the patterns and manage our risk. Those are number one job. And I hope this helps you a lot. So thank you so much, guys, for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you on future videos. Thank you so much, guys.